What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated video. So today I want to discuss my impressions and some basic problems, well actually some major problems, with Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated on mobile. So of course the mobile edition of this game has been released yesterday, well the day before yesterday I think. Well, at least for me, because then again it did get released like around 10 p.m. which I was really like not expecting. But anyways, I hosted the giveaway yesterday. You guys saw like the different issues that this game had. As good as it seems, yeah, like there are some problems that do face this game. So before we get started, I hope you guys subscribe to this channel because we are going to see a lot of content in the coming months, you know, with Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, as well as, you know, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated or any like remake that comes in the future. So first and foremost, let's actually talk about my first impression. So originally, I had pretty high hopes for this game, but you know, I always like had high hopes with caution because I didn't know that this game was going to run so well. I thought it was going to be very low quality. I thought it was going to be very buggy, very laggy. And you know, given Purple Lamp and Handy Games, well, I guess just Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated's track record, like throughout the months it has been very buggy. Of course, most of it has been fixed with the exception of the Switch version. Well, then again, I mean, it does have most of the bugs ironed out. It's just graphical issues that it has. But yeah, it is known for its glitches. So I was thinking this was going to be more or less the same way, but I was actually surprised because this game seems to be more polished than most. The only problem with it is that it's kind of outdated. So this is pretty much like the day one patch update that we got like once this game released back in June of 2020. So one of the best features that I discovered within the first few minutes was of course the quality settings. So I think this is the only port of Rehydrated that actually does have this feature. My friend Sheriff actually told me that on the PC they don't actually have this feature. So that actually that really amazed me, because I didn't know that PC did not have the option to set the graphic settings. And usually PC is like very known for that. Console usually doesn't get something like that. But yeah, for iOS devices and Android devices, you are able to set the graphic settings from like low to epic. So it's like low, medium, high, then epic. They also have anti-aliasing options. So yeah, they went pretty much all out with this whole graphical settings. And it really all depends on what device that you're running. If you're running like an iPhone 12 or an iPad Pro 4th generation with the iPhone 11 camera, you could pretty much max out the settings and you won't even have a problem. The only issue is that your battery might drain a little bit faster, but if you have an iPad Pro, like the battery still lasts a very, very long time, even longer than the Switch. I honestly think that this was probably one of the smartest features that was put into this game, because it pretty much leaves no one out. So if you have like an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8 or something and you can't run at the max settings, you could always set it to like medium or low, or you know, maybe high depending on what device you have. So like literally no one is going to have a problem when it comes to lagging or any sort of issues like that. An interesting fact about this as well is that since this is also available on the Apple TV, you are also able to set your graphics settings. But I do recommend going at 30 frames per second on that one, because for me, like when I go on 60 frames, it kind of goes like all laggy when you turn the camera around. But yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. It usually happens in a very like heavily graphical area. Another feature about this game that I do really love is the loading times. And oh my god, the loading times are basically lightning fast. Like if you die, you're back in the game in less than 5 seconds. That's how crazy the load times are, especially for a mobile game. And usually on the Switch it takes like what, about 20 to 30 seconds in order to, you know, just spawn back in or just teleport somewhere else. You know, like with the Switch version, it has like the slowest load times. I mean, this even beats the Xbox One and the PS4. I'm not sure about the Series X and the PS5, but yeah, it's pretty much on par with the PC, maybe even faster. I'm not sure. I don't really see. I've never played the PC version, so maybe it is faster over there. But yeah, the point is the loading times are so fast in fact that, you know, getting those 100,000 shiny objects, which is not supposed to be the case right now. You're supposed to actually give like maybe about 39,000 or 40,000 to Mr. Krabs, like since it's been updated. But since this is a pre-patch version, you are gonna have to spend a lot of time grinding for shiny objects. Of course, my best recommendation is go to the Sandcastle and Goo Lagoon, because there are 2 spots where you can get like easy shiny objects. I mean, really easy. Like on the bridge, you can activate those Thunder Tikis and just go on the top, explode those other Tikis right there, and just kill yourself real quick. You load back in like in 2 seconds and just rinse and repeat. It actually took me like maybe less than an hour and a half, so it didn't really take me a long time to do it. It took me a lot longer like on the Xbox One. So yeah, loading times are pretty amazing, so it makes going through this shiny objects grind like a breeze. So even if you manage to get the highest graphic settings possible in this game, the loading times never change, so it's more or less going to be the same. I'm not sure for the other settings, maybe it does load in quicker, but I doubt that because this thing already loads in light speed. So like I said, doing the shiny object grind isn't as long as you would think it would be, so thank God for that. So now that we're talking about like just my first impressions of it, let's actually talk about the controls. So first and foremost, like if you're playing on an iPhone or like just a cellular device, you know, using touchscreens is a little bit more ergonomic. You know, it's pretty easy to manage. But if you're playing on an iPad Pro, which is like a gigantic tablet, you're gonna have some problems because, you know, the buttons are a little bit too big and they're a little bit in the middle of the screen, so you're gonna have to stretch out your thumb like a lot. I kind of wish that there was a feature to actually map your buttons out so you can have them the way you see fit. I kind of wish there was also like a feature where you could actually shrink the buttons as well, so of course it won't take up most of the screen. So another issue when it comes to touch controls that I really do want them to fix as well, or at least buff up, is the camera sensitivity. Like for some reason, no matter how high you have it, it still feels like it's too slow. I'm usually a person that whenever I use touch screens, I like to like just turn around instantly or something like that. But like doesn't seem to be the case here, because like the sensitivity seems to be slow, so you're gonna have to be swiping a few times in order to turn around at like a 180-degree angle. But luckily, if you're not into touch controls, you could always use a controller. If you do have an Xbox One S controller or a PS4 controller, you're able to use Bluetooth in order to actually play the game. And like I do have to say, it's very smooth. I don't have any issues with using a controller. I didn't experience like any bugs or anything, no input lag. Everything seems to be working the way it is. So using controller is definitely recommended if you do have a tablet or if you're playing on an Apple TV. Well, obviously if you're playing on Apple TV, you have to. Like if your TV was like somehow, you know, touchscreen, okay, then that's a different story. But of course, that's like 30 years into the future. So one more thing I want to discuss before we get into the negative aspects of this game is the fact that, you know, the bubbles surrounding the spatulas and the socks actually don't go away this time around. So like if you've played on PS4 or Xbox or even on PC, you would notice that sometimes the bubble around the spatula would disappear. But here it doesn't seem to be the case. Like it never disappears at all, so it always stays in place. And I think that was a really good change, because there would be times where I actually miss a spatula because I couldn't see it. Sometimes it would be blended in to the environment, so I would have to go back and just get it real quick. So yeah, I'm glad that they managed to like do that right this time around. So now let's talk about the negative aspects. I know a lot of you guys were waiting for, you know, this part of the video. You know, this game is really good on mobile, but it's not without its downsides. So of course, the obvious one is that like it's a very outdated version of this game. So the version that we have here, from what Zach Pack told me, it's like the 1.0.2. This was like the update right before they fixed the theater. They fixed Mr. Krabs' a shiny object demand. So yeah, there are still a lot of like pre-patch features in this game. You can't even go back to fight the bosses again yet. To be honest with you guys, I do not really have too much of a problem with this. Of course, well, like it does bother me to some extent, but like the reason why it doesn't bother me is because, like, be honest guys, how often do you go into the theater in Battle Before Bikini Bomb just to see the concept art? Or like how often do you guys go to like refight all the bosses? Like that's something that I never do when I'm playing this game, like, ever. So really, this isn't something like I'm too worried about personally, because I mean, like I don't know, I don't go visit the theater all the time, or I don't go revisit boss fights. Like if I want to, I'll just play the game again. It doesn't really bother me that much. But of course, I'm sure it bothers some people at some point. But like for me, it's not really much of an issue. But you guys shouldn't really worry about that because I mean, they're gonna update it at some point. They can't just leave it like that. And like especially when the Switch like is just like so messed up. So I'm assuming they're gonna work on that first because I feel like that should be like their very like first priority. So another major issue that I've noticed within this mobile port of Rehydrated is definitely the save issues. So I've been having a lot of save data issues. There was a time where, like when I was streaming, there was a time where I finished Jellyfish Fields, and then like for some reason when I saved, it just loaded me into like an earlier, I guess, save. So it basically took me back to before I even got into Jellyfish Fields. I don't know what that issue was, but I did manage to find a little bit of a workaround. So Battle for Bikini Bottom does work with iCloud if you do have Apple devices. So I do recommend turning that off so the saves could be a little bit more stable. So my theory as to why this does not work is probably because they did not set it up correctly, so it does have trouble, like, you know, saving in between devices. So like let's say like you want to head out somewhere and like you're in the car, the back seat, and you want to play it on your phone, and you know previously you played it on your iPad, so it's saved. Sometimes it just won't save properly, and I guess that's something that they messed up on. So I'm hoping that they fix it later on. So I do recommend just going to your iCloud settings and disabling it just for this game. You don't have to disable iCloud completely. Just there's an option to disable it only for this game. So another cool workaround that I did find when it comes to like this huge saving issue is that if you do have empty slots available, you can save on those empty slots and just delete the older ones. They do tend to work more like efficiently. So yeah, I do recommend doing that as well if you don't want to turn off your iCloud settings or if you don't know how to. So yeah, the save issues do have to be looked at a little bit. Just have them tweaked so they could work with iCloud properly, as well as for those who don't have iCloud or just don't want to use it. So yeah, just fix that up. This game will be fine. Another known issue that I do have was a pretty unique one, and it only seems to happen in Kelp Forest. You guys know those little robots with those floaties, the ones that stack up into like threes, and like the bottom one just like has fire just surrounding you and everything. For some reason they do not seem to be killable in the first portion of Kelp Forest. I don't know, for whatever reason they just can't be killed unless you use the cruise bubble and then you just bubble bowl the bottom one. Like I've tried with Patrick to see if I could kill them, but for some reason their hit detection doesn't seem to be correct. So this bug did actually scare me a little bit because, you know, I thought this was going to be in effect for like literally every single level, but that didn't seem to be the case because when I went to Mr. Krabs' dream, you were able to defeat the robots there, but like for some reason, like I said, Kelp Forest doesn't work the same way. I don't know why it is like that, but yeah, that also needs to be looked at as well. So that's pretty much all the major downsides that I was able to, you know, see like throughout playing this game. There really wasn't a lot. The main issue I do have is just the save issue. Like I really don't care too much about the fact that it's really outdated and it doesn't even have a theater yet, and like how the requirements are still pretty high for the shiny objects. And you know, having faster load times in this game does help alleviate this issue a little bit, because it takes like maybe like an hour and a half or just a little bit less than that. So it doesn't really take a long time to acquire 108,000 shiny objects, or 148,000 if you're going for the theater. So yeah, this game does need to be looked at a little bit, like I said. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Make sure to subscribe for some more Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated and more giveaway streams into the future. I hope you guys did enjoy your rewards for those of you guys who won. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. This is Triforce Addiction, and I'll see you next time.